What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we are getting a ton of the deck done, we believe. We are starting in, we got the, what, a leaf? We are starting with the planks. I don't know what you call them, but the top layer that we're gonna be walking on, it's gonna finish it off pretty much. Right now, we're not close to finishing it
even
off.
though we don't live on the boat no more, we still plan to walk the planks out here on the farm. It's gonna take me a while to do this. It's fairly redundant. I have like maybe, I don't know, 80, 90 pieces that I got to put on, and they all get 10 screw holes on each side, so they get 20. So it's thousands of just zip, zip, zip of the exact same repetitive motion over and over and over again. But what's going to be fun is when it's done, it's going to be satisfying, and then we're going to have this clean, livable, not muddy outdoor space to enjoy. And I think it's going to make a huge difference in our lives.
All right, let's get to it.
So to get the planks on, Kristen got me this cool deck jig, where of course in GBU style we're not putting the fasteners exposed. I may have to do a few, but we're doing as little as we possibly can. So she got this cool thing that's like a guide where I can only drill so deep, and it lets you put the screws into the side instead of through the top, so that it gives it like a little bit of a cleaner look. And I'm looking forward to using that because I've never used this tool before, and it's time to experience something new. Basically, you just stick it on the side. It gives you a nice uniform spacing for the boards. So this should be a crutch for me to make the deck look very uniform. All right, so it's another rainy day here in the rainforest in the jungles, and I ran into another problem. Yesterday, you may have noticed once I started, I had my Krager here, my Kreg jig, and if you notice throughout the work, I stopped using it. There was an issue with, it didn't really fit properly, and I was getting like some cutout when I would pre-drill my holes and then drill in the screw. I was having problems. It was knocking like a little notch out, and I said, that's going to look terrible. That's going to look worse than a screw hole. So I tried to sand it, and I said I could sand it, but then we're talking about 4.5 miles of sanding, you know, by the time I do every edge of every board.
Because our planks are different, right?
It could be that. I noticed that when the, like most deck lumber, those did not like that, but most of it has a rounded edge when it's milled, and this is perfectly square, so it's just that little square corner that's getting notched out, which maybe if I had different lumber it would work a little bit differently, but I don't have different lumber. This is the lumber I got, so I decided to pivot, and I said, you know what, I can just go straight through. These screws are pretty low profile, and as long as I get the screws straight, it's really not going to look too bad, and once it has a dark stain on it, it's not going to really show too much either. So I think it's going to look just fine. Kristen wanted a rustic look on this anyway. So, you know, this thing hopefully works for another project, a better one someday, but it didn't really do the best for me on this one. I tried to adjust these little things to think maybe if I could adjust it somehow. There may be one with a different angle that does better, but I couldn't get it to work, and I just moved on and started zipping them in. All right, so now I'm getting started on this back end as long as it don't rain. I got a little tree to cut out around right there. So that'll be the interesting part of this particular feat. Kristen loves that tree. She don't want to cut it down, so we're gonna make the deck go around the tree. I'm gonna embrace that inner arborist, you know, that tree lover, that tree hugger that I am deep down. And yeah, we're gonna make the deck go around the tree, so one day we'll have a nice, beautiful, shady palm to enjoy on our back porch. Right, so any of my boys out there doing projects, or gals, sorry, don't want to be sexist, it's 2024, but anybody that's doing any sort of work with lumber knows that the quality of lumber here in 2024, you might as well buy a stack of damn Twizzlers if you're trying to get anything built. This lumber was so crooked. That's one of the bad things about living in the woods and getting things delivered, is that they don't hand pick it. They just grab it with a forklift, they throw it on the truck, and you kind of get what you get. And these boards are like insanely twisted and bowed and all kinds of craziness. So I have basically here basically a 1/16 gap, and then here I have about almost a ½ inch gap, you know, between two boards. So that looks pretty bad. I tried to fight them, force them in, pry them in, but I could not get it to go. So I think what I'm going to do is, I got this one as tight as I could get it, and then this one over here I'm just going to end up probably running a saw down so I can get a little bit more of uniform gaps. I don't really think it's going to matter too much, but when you're looking at it, when you're doing it, it's just really all you can see, and you keep walking out and staring at that ½ inch gap when everything else is a quarter. So pretty rough out there. I'm crying about this crooked lumber, but from what I understand, everybody else is too. Alright, so what happened was, I'm out here just lounging on my deck, having a good time, relaxing at the moment. But I had to deal with my goats early in the morning because my the buck, he's getting kind of rough on the does and he's getting crazy, so I try to keep them separate. So I wanted to split their real estate, so I went and put a divider in the middle, and I was cleaning it up for them. Maybe I'll show you all some of that later, but I got stung in the back by a wasp, a yellow jacket, and then I was like, okay, no big deal, whatever. But then I was cleaning up some more trees and I got stung in the lip down here by a wasp, and as you can see, this
It's not looking good.
This ain't cool. Hopefully it don't get much bigger, it's gonna split. But so I'm gonna limit the talking portion of this, and I'm gonna finish the rest of my deck planks. I'm over halfway finished now, so I just gotta knock out the rest of it. I have to move my porch couch that Kristen said she hated, even though the kittens loved it, but I gotta move it so that I can finish the rest of this deck. So as you can see behind me, I got a nice trimmed in edge piece, and I ran into a problem with this trim piece because I tried to order a 1 by 8 by 40 feet and they did not have it. So I had to settle for 12-foot pieces, 12-foot sections, which means I have to splice them. I didn't want to just butt them up together flat. So I decided to put the deepest angle that I could on it. This way I could put a clamp on it and glue it. But it's a little bit tough because I have to cut notches out and then I have to get that angle piece to fit pretty much perfectly. So it's been a little bit of an issue, and last night I completely botched it. I went to make a cut and I cut out the piece that I was supposed to leave, and it was pretty sad. I had a bit of a meltdown. So I'll give you a quick shot of that and then I'm going to get forward with finishing this. You see, I was setting this piece up for there, but I needed this one to stay there and this piece to go away. But I cut this one and it was sad, and you know what? I'm not gonna say I did cry, but I'm not gonna say I didn't cry. I could just do them like this and butt up the flat pieces, but with the amount that these boards swell and contract, I'm worried that this gap could go anywhere from here to there, and then that's just gonna look terrible. So I think the gluing will work a lot better. I cut this one on the angle and glued it. It's a little rough looking right now, but once that's sanded, maybe even a little bit of the wood putty in there, sand that off and stain it. Hey, what you doing, boy? It's gonna look a lot better. All right, y'all, so in my infinite carpentry wisdom here, I put these boards up and I didn't think about how I was going to run my skill saw up to this post. So I have about a 5-inch piece that I have to get cut, and I was using this with a modified little short blade on it that gave me a lot of control when I was doing this. But this thing has now died. It's not working. My $500 Milwaukee set after 3 years has finally gone to grass, and that's, you know, that's heartbreaking, but nothing lasts forever. So basically I've been reduced to using my winger here. I used a long one on this and a board butted up to get the cut started, and it's been working pretty well, but it's pretty tedious. But it makes you feel like a real carpenter, you know, like a real fine cutsman. See, on these, before I nailed them down, I did cut that edge out. I did it on both sides, but unfortunately I was done with about 90% of the project, and I was here at the end and I said, oh, I made a mistake here. I'm gonna have to cut that out, or it's gonna be much more difficult and time consuming for me to do it once it's nailed down. But you know, sometimes after you've already made a mistake, it's a lot easier to see the future mistakes. So that's why I was able to catch it on this last one, and it probably only cost me 30-40 minutes really, having to cut all those out and edge them in. But I got my last little row to cut off here, one piece of edging to put back in, and then we're going to be pretty much done with the slats on the deck and being able to move on to the next portion. And believe me when I say there are more portions. It can never be as simple as just throwing in framing and slats.
Alright guys, so now we can see what the deck looks like for the most part. It's better than I could imagine. I love it. I think with the bordered edge and the slats going this way, it came out really good. I'm really happy we decided to do that. And Matt really pulled off a longer deck on the side than we anticipated. I thought we were going to do a shorter one, I think it looks even better. I think you did a really great job, and I think it looks, whoa, a leaf. I think it looks awesome.
Thank you. Well, the more I looked at that, I was just going to go 4 feet off the back. But the more I looked at it, I was like, that's just going to be a complete waste. But if I didn't do it, I would have had to put steps going down so you could still walk in the mud. So I had to get something covering that. So I just basically said, if we go a little bit bigger, we extend that 4 feet to 7.5 feet. It's going to give us a lot more workable space. I could probably throw the grill up there or something like that, and it's going to be good to go. And yeah, the slats went in real nice. This wood, I wasn't too particular with that Craig. You know, I tried to have everything as uniform as could possibly be with the gaps, but these 1-bys, the humidity here is pretty insane. So it's going to swell, contract. Those are things that just happen with these 1-bys. Not so much with the 2-by lumber. It's not that as big of a deal, but the 1-bys I knew were going to move. So, and they have been moving. You know, some days I wake up and it's a 1/8 inch gap, and then some days I wake up and it's damn near 3/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch gap. So it was everything I hoped and dreamed it would be. The deck's coming out really nice, and I love it. The cats seem to be really enjoying it. They all sleep up here all the time. They're loving life. I didn't use the joist hangers, and it caused like World War III in the comments last week. I apologize to everyone involved, but I just don't believe that structural fasteners are a must-have on every single project. I got, I think, like 2,000 nails or something like that in this project, probably more than 2,000. So it just, this deck ain't coming out. It's 20 inches off the ground. It's not, a hurricane wind ain't gonna get up under that, attached to these 8x8s and rip anything out. This structure, I am quite certain, ain't really going too many places. And as we just saw with the hurricane that went through Florida, the biggest geniuses in the world built those houses, and guess what? They're all still underwater. The roofs fell off. You know, you can't control the world, boys. No matter how much your deck coach told you can build, you know, a deck that'll be here like the Great Wall of China. It's just a wooden deck. It's not something that that needed to be built like, you know, as Fort Knox or anything like that. I put plenty of nails in it, and it's gonna work fine. You don't always need joist hangers. I also didn't use deck tape. I'm surprised that wasn't the biggest uproar in the comments. Oh my God, your joists are just gonna rot out in 15 seconds without that tape.
No.
Luckily those guys didn't come in for me, but the deck is fine. The deck is good. Only time will tell. In 10 years, when I'm lounging on this deck, it'll be just like every other thing I ever did. The boat bulkheads, the Home Depot rigging, sailing 4,000 miles. Installing a sailboat engine in the water when nobody does that either. This will just be a long list of all the times that goofies said I was doing it wrong, and then I dunked on y'all again. So hate me if you want to, but I'm killing it out here. I'm feeling myself today.
Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll come back next week, and we still got a little more to do. We have stairs to do. We have staining to do, and then it'll be done.
Are they stairs or are they steps?
Stairs.
I don't know. Maybe there's like a certain requirement.
Deck steps or deck stairs?
Deck stairs or deck steps? Let me know. But yeah, we have a few more things to finish. I obviously have to finish the edge to finish. I got some more to do. We have staining. There's a lot more to go, and then Kristen's gonna go buck wild with the accoutrements once it's completed. Oh yeah, bro, you're gonna put in. You was looking at lights. You was looking at outdoor couches for my sweet babies. Come here, Joey. Look at this angel boy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's a sweet boy. Say hey, Joey. Say hey, boy. Okay, so anyway, if you like orange cats, bless yourself. Oh, and Bear's still alive. People want an update on Bear. She doesn't like.
She lives in the house.
Yeah, she don't like the other cats, and she hisses at them too much. So we try to keep them as separated as we can. Oh, you sweet boy, you stink.
So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.